Mitzvah of Tefillah. There are 613 mitzvos in the Torah. Now, there is no such ranking, but imagine for a moment we could rank the 613 mitzvos according to its importance. Where would you rank the mitzvah of Tefillah? We know that Tefillah is one of the fundamental principles of Judaism, prayer, davening. So where would it rank? Would you rank it in the top 10? Top 20, top 50, top 100, where would you rank it? My guess is that most would rank it in the top 100. But what if I were to tell you for a moment that there's even a machlokes Rishonim, there's even a discussion as to whether Tefillah is a mitzvah at all. And even according to the Rambam, Maimonides, who does list it as a mitzvah, he points out that the mitzvah of Tefillah is really to address God, to address Hashem once a day. However, in terms of the exact wording of the Siddur, or how many times a day, or what specific things to say, all that stuff is midrabanan, is ordained by the rabbis. In terms of the actual mitzvah of Tefillah itself, is only to daven, is only to talk out to Hashem once a day. And the Ramban disagrees. Nachmanides disagrees with him and says that no, even that is dirabanan. Of course, saying Shema is minat Torah, but Tefillah itself is only midrabanan. How could that be? How could it be that something that's so fundamental to our Judaism, that can possibly only be a dirabanan, and even according to those that's minat Torah, everything that we have in the Siddur, everything that we say seemingly is not really minat Torah, but rather just merely addressing God. That is the mitzvah minat Torah. Well, if one looks at the Ramban a little further, one actually sees that the Ramban continues that although it is not a mitzvah to formally pray to Hashem, there is a mitzvah to reach out to Hashem in a time of need, and that is part of ula'avdo, of serving Hashem b'chol levavchem, with all your heart, as the Gemara in Tainis says. Serving Hashem with all your heart is the mitzvah of Tefillah. So although there is no formality in terms of the mitzvah according to the Ramban on any given day, but a person in his time of need needs to reach out to Hashem. I think the sort of idea that I'd like to give over in the first lesson on Tefillah is, before we go in and understand the Siddur, before we understand what Chazal did, what the Rabbanan did in terms of the davening that we have today, and actually the total ingenuity that they used in terms of how they formulated Tefillah. But before we get into that, we need to get into the actual nucleus of what Tefillah is really all about. And I think if we bottom line it, Tefillah is about connection. Tefillah is about relationship. The Rambam, Maimonides, has a formal mitzvah to address God every day, however you address Him. It doesn't have to be with a Siddur. It could be just sincerely talking to God once a day. The Rambam does give some sort of formality as to how it's supposed to be done, and that does seem to fit according to our Siddur. But just the idea of addressing God is the mitzvah of Tefillah according to the Rambam. And the Ramban just disagrees in the sense that it doesn't need to be every day, but it needs to be in a time of need, that when a person is in a time of need, they don't keep that inside. They reach out to Hashem. I think the word relationship is appropriate here. And that the mitzvah of Tefillah, the true mitzvah of Tefillah, is building relationship. The problem is, in our education system, we learn things backwards. It's understandable, very hard to start with a child, teaching him to build a relationship with God. We usually start by teaching him what's written in the Siddur, but it's really backwards. Because the Siddur is supposed to be an expression of relationship. We need to first start in terms of really thinking of Hashem as someone we want to have a relationship with and someone we can turn to in our time of need. And that seems to be the true mitzvah of Tefillah min Torah. Now, how that develops into our Siddur, that's for a later discussion. But right now, I would like to charge each and every one of us with trying to start building that relationship. When you find yourself in a time of need throughout your day, if it's something small, something big, to God there's no difference between big and small. Just take a moment to close your eyes and just to say a few words to Hashem, to ask Him for help in whatever it is that you need. Start to talk to Him like you would talk to someone who was really there, to someone who really mattered, to someone who can actually make a difference in your life. Let's start building that relationship. Let's start fulfilling that mitzvah min Torah of Tefillah, and then perhaps we can take further from there.